Hey crafters, are you looking for a card that is calming to make but still delivers a big wow? Silhouette cards are the answer. With just a soft background and a bold stamped image on the front, you'll create a card that's like crafting therapy. It's so much fun to create and it's even more fun to give. So let's head down to the crafting table. Let me show you what I mean. Here is a silhouette card. I'm going to show you two ways to make a silhouette card. The first one is the wet method, where we actually use an acrylic block, use our spritzer, and create this beautiful background. So you're going to need a piece of cardstock that is cut down to the size mat you want for your card. Now we are using just a simple top fold card that's 11 by 4 1/4 scored at 5 1/2. But remember, all the measurements and supplies will be listed over on creativemomentsbyg.com under my blog. Now, because this can get kind of messy, you do need a sheet of paper under it so that you don't get your desktop messy. So let's go ahead and just put our mat to the side and now grab our acrylic block. Now, what's really important when you're working with this wet method is that you choose colors that when they blend together, if they do, it doesn't create a muddy mess. So just think about that as you're selecting your colors. Now I'm going to select this kind of light orange, which is Timid Tiger, and a brown, which is a soft brown, Pecan Pie. Let me show you what you do to this block. What we're going to do is just take the ink pad to the block, and I'm just going to press down on it just to transfer some of the ink. Now I'm going to grab my orange or my Timid Tiger, and I'm going to do the same thing. Now that's kind of dark, so you only need to get a little bit of that color. Now the next thing you need to do is get a spritzer, and we're just using a spritzer with water in it. Just going to give it a couple spritz. And you can see how it activates the color, right? Now we're going to bring in our mat and we're going to decide where we want it. I want mine over to the side just a little bit. So I'm just going to turn it and just leave it like that to let all that wonderful ink transfer. Now when you lift this up, if you have any pools of water, you could go ahead and just use a towel and just daub it. But we don't. And look at that. Pretty much it transferred all the ink. Now this is just a regular cardstock. This is not watercolor paper. Now you need to let this dry just a little bit. You can always hurry it up with your heating tool, or you can just let it dry to the side while you get your stamp. Now for silhouette stamping, you really need to have something that you don't have to color. Now this prairie grass is perfect for that. Look at these images right here. They will stamp beautifully. Now the next thing you need to decide is, what are you going to stamp with? Well, I'm going to go ahead and stamp with my Night of Navy. I love Night of Navy and I love the way it stamps. It gives you a dark, crisp, clean stamp. So we're going to go ahead and just get this together. Now I'm going to use this stamp. It's the shorter grass, and I'm also going to use the taller grass for this. So I'm just going to ink it up with some Night of Navy and then just stamp it. So we're going to tap, tap, tap. Make sure it's loaded really well, just like that. And just come in here and give it a good stamp. Hold it to let that ink transfer. And remember, when you're stamping, don't rock your acrylic block. And look at that. Just beautiful. Now I'm going to come in with my shorter silhouette stamp. Tap, tap, tap. Just going to stamp it. And really, this is like crafting therapy. It's so soothing. It's very easy. Look, just beautiful. Now all we need to do is bring in the sentiment that we're going to use. And for our sentiment, we went ahead and we just grabbed "You Are Remarkable" because we needed a sentiment that kind of was taller than it was wide. And that's where we found the sentiment. So let's just go ahead, ink that up, and I'm just going to put it about right there. And look at how pretty that is. Very simple, but so pretty. And now all we have to do is bring in our card and bring in a coordinating color. Now I have selected that Timid Tiger. Let's go ahead and move this. And I'm just going to glue that down on the Timid Tiger just to make that pop just a little more. Now look at this. Really all we need to do is stamp a little image right here to finish it off. So I'm just going to stamp that grass again, just to give it a little something on the inside. Now, you can always double mat the inside as well. But what do you think about our first silhouette card? Now, this is the wet method. I'm going to show you another way to create a silhouette card. But this is so pretty and just so much fun and so peaceful while you're stamping. We're just getting back to the basics. Stamp, ink, and paper. Just love it. Now make sure that you stay with us because I have several other samples to show you. But let's look at our next card. Once again, we're just going to use a top fold card. But this time, I have my mat. I'm going to bring in my paper again. And we have simply cut out a circle. Now, let me show you. You don't have to use a circle die. You could use a square, an oval. Maybe you have some rectangles. There's all kinds of dies that you could use to create this card. But all you need is a die. Go ahead and cut you out a stencil. And we are going to line that up right in the center of this mat. So I'm looking at this area right here so that I can see where it needs to be. It needs to be over just a little bit so that there's the same distance. Plus I want the same distance top to bottom and side to side so that we can kind of center this, right? Now, to make sure that it holds, I would recommend that you use some repositional tape. That's just me. You don't have to do that, but it kind of makes sure that your mat is not going to move as well as your stencil is not going to move. So that's kind of nice. And this tape just rubs right off. So for my colors, I selected Berry Burst and this Coastal Cabana. Oh, they are so pretty together. So let's go ahead and do a little blending. Let's start with our lighter color, this Coastal Cabana. Now remember what I've said, when you use your brush, you can put your index finger on the head and that determines the amount of pressure you're going to put to add color to your image. We don't want a lot of pressure, so I'm tapping it off first and then I'm just bringing in a little bit of color. That way I can control what it looks like and how dark it is. And I really don't want it very dark because I want the silhouette to pop, right? So I'm just going to go ahead and put a little bit over here. You can always make it darker, right? But it's very hard to try to lighten it up. So let's just go ahead, get this. Okay. And now I'm going to bring in the Berry Burst. Now, when these two colors mix, they kind of make a purple, and it's so pretty. And there's so many possibilities. You could create a beautiful sunset depending on the oranges and the yellows that you bring in. Just think about that. Okay. Now, the big reveal. Look at how pretty that is. Now what we need to do is bring in our stamps again. Bring in our Night of Navy. And I'm going to tap, 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 make sure it's loaded really well. I'm going to stamp this one right here. Straight down and hold it and let all that rich ink transfer. Look how pretty that looks. Oh, just so pretty. Now I'm going to come in with the smaller image, and I'm just going to put it down about right here. Straight down and then straight up. Now I'm going to bring in my sentiment. And look how pretty that looks. Oh my goodness. This is the dry method where we are actually blending. There's no water involved. It has a more muted color than the wet method because when you add water to these ink pads, it really brightens up that color. But I love the subtlety of this. Look at that. And now we're just going to bring in a coordinating color. The other benefit of the dry method is that you don't have to wait for it to dry, right? It's already nice and dry. Now we're just going to add it to the top of our card. Let's go ahead and stamp a little image on the inside. This time I think I'll use the smaller grass. And what do you think about these two silhouettes? They are so pretty. Sometimes it's nice just to slow down, use stamp, ink, and paper, and create a card that, while it looks a little simple, it makes a big statement. Well, let me show you the other cards that we have. I showed you this one earlier. But we also have a version of this, but we used our brush and we added some speckles and we also added some gems. We did the same thing on this one. We speckled it, just splattered it with some ink. And then what about bringing in some butterflies? Oh my goodness. Take a moment, leave a comment. Let us know what you think about this silhouette method. Well, we hope you were inspired by this silhouette method. Now remember, we had two different techniques that you could choose from, the wet method or the dry method, and we would love to hear in the comments which you prefer to use on your card. Well, we hope you take a moment to like, share with your friends, and help us grow. And if you haven't subscribed, take a moment to do that as well. Well, until next time, Maudie and I are thinking of you, and we are wishing you lots of creative moments. Bye-bye.